It was a routine night, a flight much like any other. Malaysia Airlines Flight 370 was set for a journey from Kuala Lumpur to Beijing. On March 8, 2014, 239 people boarded the Boeing 777. Families, business travelers, crew members settled in for the 6-hour trip. The plane was a workhorse of modern aviation, known for its safety and reliability. Captain Zahari Ahmad Shah, First Officer Fariq Abdul Hamid. Everything seemed perfectly normal. No one on that plane or on the ground could have imagined they were about to become part of the biggest mystery in aviation history. The flight took off just after midnight. "Good night, Malaysian 370. Those were the last words ever transmitted from the flight. The silence that followed was deafening. When MH370 disappeared from civilian radar, it wasn't the end of its journey. It was the beginning of a phantom flight that went on for hours. Military radar tracked an unidentified aircraft turning sharply back across the Malaysian peninsula. It didn't follow its planned route to Beijing. Instead, it flew west, back over Malaysia. This was not accidental. It was deliberate, controlled from the flight deck. Who was in control? Why fly the wrong way in total electronic silence? The plane's satellite communication system, SATCOM, kept operating. Even with main comms off, the terminal tried to connect to a satellite. The satellite was operated by the British company Inmarsat. Inmarsat engineers analyzed tiny signal delays to estimate distance from the satellite. That created two vast arcs of possibility. The plane had to have gone south. The digital ghost had flown into a desolate, unforgiving part of the planet. The search for MH370 would soon become the largest and most expensive in aviation history. It was an unprecedented international effort, as dozens of countries mobilized their resources. They contributed state-of-the-art ships, long-range surveillance planes, and the most advanced satellite technology available. The world watched, holding its breath, as this massive operation began to unfold in the days following the disappearance. At first, the search was focused on the South China Sea, where the plane was last seen on civilian radar. For days, an armada of ships and a fleet of aircraft methodically scoured the waters. Search crews strained their eyes looking for any sign of wreckage, an oil slick, or floating debris, but numerous false alarms led to nothing. With each passing day and every empty horizon, a grim reality set in. The area was a dead end, then a breakthrough from an unexpected source. Analysis of automated pings between the aircraft and an Inmarsat satellite revealed the plane had flown for hours after it disappeared. This new data changed everything, forcing a massive pivot to a remote stretch of the southern Indian Ocean. This new search zone was one of the most inhospitable places on Earth, known for its treacherous weather and extreme depths. The search area was immense, covering millions of square miles of open water. The surface search gave way to a deep-sea hunt. Specialized ships equipped with sophisticated sonar towed underwater vehicles, or towfish, just above the seabed. These devices mapped the ocean floor in painstaking detail, creating a 3D map of the abyss. They were looking for any anomaly that could be the wreckage of a Boeing 777. The search was a slow, grueling process, hampered by rough seas and the sheer scale of the task. Then, in July 2015, more than a year after the disappearance, a piece of an aircraft wing called a flaperon washed ashore on Reunion Island, thousands of miles from the search zone. Investigators confirmed it was from MH370. It was the first piece of physical evidence recovered. For the families who had been clinging to hope, it was a heartbreaking confirmation that the plane was truly lost. In the absence of concrete evidence, theories about what happened to MH370 have flourished. This information vacuum has been filled by investigators, experts, and the public, each trying to solve a puzzle with most of its key pieces missing. The most prominent theory, supported by most investigators, is the pilot suicide mass murder plot. This theory suggests that Captain Zahari Ahmad Shah deliberately depressurized the cabin, incapacitating everyone on board, and flew the plane on a carefully planned course until it ran out of fuel. This route, designed to avoid radar, was similar to one found on his home flight simulator. Still, investigators never found a clear motive or a suicide note. Another theory revolves around a hijacking. Maybe someone other than the pilots took control of the plane. This could have been a passenger or even a stowaway. While 2 passengers with stolen passports were investigated, they were cleared. However, no terrorist group has ever claimed responsibility, which is pretty unusual for such a high-profile event and makes this scenario unlikely. Some have proposed a catastrophic mechanical failure or an onboard fire. This could have incapacitated the crew, leaving the plane to fly on autopilot until it ran out of fuel. This is often called the ghost flight theory. The plane's initial turn might have been the pilot's last attempt to return to safety before being overcome by smoke or hypoxia. Finally, there are more outlandish theories, from cyber hijacking to abduction. This has created a void that people fill with speculation, some more credible than others. But without the plane's black boxes, every scenario remains just a theory, leaving the victims' families in an agonizing limbo. The disappearance of MH370 left an indelible scar on aviation, exposing a shocking vulnerability. In our high-tech world, the idea that a Boeing 777 packed with tracking systems could simply vanish seemed impossible. It was a stark reminder that despite our technological prowess, there are still blind spots where we can utterly lose control. In response, the aviation industry made significant changes. New regulations now require commercial aircraft to automatically report their position every 15 minutes over remote areas. This global initiative aims to ensure a plane can always be located. Additionally, newer aircraft are being equipped with tamper-proof tracking systems that can't be manually disabled from the cockpit, closing a critical vulnerability. For the families of the 239 people on board, the legacy is unending grief and uncertainty. They've been trapped in a cruel limbo for over a decade, a psychological state known as ambiguous loss. Without wreckage, without bodies, and without answers, they cannot fully mourn. They remain caught in a painful cycle of hope and despair, unable to find closure. They fought tirelessly to keep the search alive, transforming personal pain into a powerful public campaign. Through advocacy groups and petitions, they relentlessly urge governments not to give up. Their search for closure remains a powerful, heartbreaking story that resonates worldwide, a testament to the human need for answers. The mystery also had a profound cultural impact. Pray for MH370 became a global symbol of shared hope. The story became a modern legend in books, documentaries, and podcasts, tapping into our deepest fears of the unknown and loss of control. It fuels endless speculation and refuses to fade from our collective consciousness. The case is a benchmark for unresolved mysteries of our era. While official searches have ended, private teams like Ocean Infinity have pledged to renew the search. Armed with advanced autonomous underwater vehicles, they use new technology to re-examine satellite data, hoping to uncover clues that were previously missed and finally pinpoint a location. Until that day comes, the flight remains a ghost in the sky, a haunting question mark over the Indian Ocean. The world waits, the families hope, and the 239 souls aboard will not be forgotten.